What's up, y'all? I'm Jalen,
And I'm Jada.
and thanks for tuning in to another episode of We Out Here.
Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel, the
Hello.
podcast. How you doing?
How am I doing? How they
Yeah.
doing? I'm okay.
It's good to hear, good to hear. It's
How
a little
you
rough
doing?
on my part. It's a little rough. Hope y'all are doing well out there. Welcome back. Last episode, we introduced our new project. So we're going to be taking this subjects we've been talking about, mainly with relationships, and we're going to go ahead and make that into performance. We have not decided yet if it's two separate dances, if it's one dance, if it's multiple, how many people or whatever like that. But, we're still putting it together and you guys are a part of the journey. So our goal for this episode was to have an outline or some kind of idea on what this project is. So Jalen, do you have what have you got for us?
So the theme of the project is about growth, and really try to give the choreography substance versus just moving and just making something up.
Mm-hmm.
I want it to feel like something when I do it, whatever that thing is. So I started by restating the lessons, the transition of being a child and becoming an adult, and that transition is in the form of understanding. The world is the same, but as you get older, you see things differently, right?
Yeah.
So I was thinking about having one phrase that's repeated during each section of the dance, but maybe it transforms in a different way throughout the piece, in a way that's easily recognizable and repeatable. And then the idea of having a wall that separates who we are versus what others see. So then I was thinking about playing with videotaping myself doing the same phrase in different ways, but it be recorded on different days. So however I step into the space and whatever I do, it is what it is. Like my first run of the phrase, I keep it and then I put it together at the end to see what it looks like day to day. Because we change. Every day isn't the same. And then for the lack of confidence with identity, still regarding that same phrase, does it start off clear? Which I don't think any phrase or choreography starts off clear. So it's very interesting to think that this piece, there's a lot going on, right? So right now we're unclear.
Yeah.
We don't know what's happening. But then eventually it'll grow and it'll become this thing. Us as humans, we start off very unclear, curious, and then the discovery, we build into a more well-rounded person of understanding and knowledge. So I think the phrase is going to represent that in different ways. I also wrote down some important words about how I feel as me, right? So I have inadequate, anger, resentment, poor communication, fear, overwhelmed, disconnected, overextended. And then after writing down these words, I also felt like they related to other Black women, but also the Black community. It's a lot in the background that's happening. And so we step in every situation a little differently, still strong, but also cautious at the same time. And so I was thinking about soundscape and how I want to connect my movement, my identity, and my experience through my movement, how I connected to the full community through the sound. So I started looking up different like Negro spirituals and seeing if there's any like club mixes that use samples of Negro spirituals. If there's any artists that have that same kind of deep like soul feeling. But like I said last time, it's really hard for me to pick a song and then do movement. But it was nice to kind of hear that like that idea of something resonating deep in somebody's soul and then it coming out vocally. You know, you go to church and you could hear the soul, you could feel it.
Yeah.
I think that's what the piece needs to feel like very grounded from the roots. And the idea of masculine versus feminine came up after I started listening to the music, because there was a lot, especially for the Negro spirituals, there was a lot of, I guess I won't call them covers, but people doing similar renditions of the song and what it felt like to me versus a man singing it or a woman. And for the most part, I enjoyed listening to the women sing it. It just held something different for me. But there was still a power in their voice to me that felt masculine. Like, quote unquote, masculine. Just their energy that they carried behind it and the low notes, versus listening to a man sing the different rendition and his emphasis is on the high notes. It was very, very interesting. I was sitting in the coffee shop like this, like deep in thought. And I was there for like a long time. So people are like, what the hell is she doing? Just sitting here on YouTube. Who comes to a coffee shop to sit on YouTube?
I'm sure a good amount of people do.
Yeah, I'm sure people do weirder stuff in coffee shops. And then with the idea of masculine versus feminine came in the idea of intuition versus sticking to the plan. And I think that was just a reminder for me about the choreography and not trying to make it fit in a box, but just going with my gut and listening to my body about what the next movement is and how the life of the piece should ebb and flow just like regular life. And then what drives the finished product? I think that's an important question for us both. It's like, you know, what's our point? What's our clarity? I mean, what is our clarity for this piece?
So I think just listening to what you were saying is interesting because from my viewpoint, it seems like you started by trying to find meaning, um, and branch out from that. And for me, see, Jalen has some notes and I got a blank page. And that's because I'm not searching. I don't go out and research and search for meaning immediately. It just kind of hits me in the face, whether it be through song or something like that. And I also tend to look and seek for inspiration through song or writing, before the movement or anything happens. So, aside from how you were searching for meaning, for me, I guess my first step is what does it look like? What's the vision I have for the final product? And then I kind of work backwards from there.
That would drive me up a wall.
But that's only because the way my brain works, when I
Yeah.
hear something, I see it already.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you got to take the different parts of it and make that happen.
Yeah.
I can't start from, I mean, I can start from researching what does this mean, but I feel like in that I would get really lost.
Yeah.
And then it'd be difficult for me to be authentic in what it is I'm trying to say. So from figuring out what it looks like, what the final product looks like, and that's not like set in stone. It's just the end is the starting piece for me. And then through the journey, the end changes, kind of, based on what I can actually do in reality versus in my head. So with that in mind, there were a couple of songs that brought some inspiration to me. I guess I don't know if I want to share them or not though, because with music, I do kind of worry sometimes that I'll get lost in the music, and I'm just trying to follow that, and then it strays away from what I'm actually trying to say. But there are a couple songs that brought some inspiration to me. And I've decided I'm not really going to share those at this moment. But what I do want to share is I did find some kind of meaning in trying to figure out what it looks like. And also based on personal life experience, because that's something that inspires me as an artist altogether. This last week for me personally was just out of control, and in that there was some reflection on some of the things we discussed in past episodes. As we know, this season was all about relationships, and these past few years my relationship with various people within my family has been shifting in different ways, and I find myself as a person wanting different things out of those relationships. And I realized that I'm trying to make it make sense.
It's okay. Take your time. Take your time.
I am at a point in life where I feel, well, I don't really feel, but I guess the closest thing would be I feel, I don't know if stuck is the correct word, but we'll go with stuck for now.
Static.
Yeah, I guess so. I feel that. And for the longest time, I've always kind of just wanted to go away and leave everything else behind because there was no meaning in that. And there was no depth in the relationships that I was leaving behind. And in life, I always just feel like it's just myself against everything else.
Mm-hmm.
So it's okay for me to just pack up and peace out because ain't nobody missing me. It's all right. I'm good. So in these past few years, as life has been shifting within my family, I've realized through this struggle this past week that I long for different things, and it's not as easy to leave those things behind. And I'm not sure I actually want to leave those things behind like I wanted to. And I feel like I'm at the place of feeling stuck because those relationships are still shifting. So it makes me feel out of place, and I'm just trying to find my place and groundedness. So in that, I think for me, the project means or looks like a self journey that is defined by outside relationships.
Okay.
And it might not make sense to y'all out there, because it doesn't 100% make sense to me yet.
I
Because
mean, it makes sense.
It's still in my head. So once I start creating or whatever, it'll have more of a real definition and meaning. But that's what it means to me right now. It's the connection between sense of self and those outside relationships. I've changed my mind. I would like to share my music. Only because that's one of the biggest inspirations. And I also said, I feel like it makes more sense for me to share it. So, because I see it, what it looks like. So, one of the songs I was inspired by, two of them, I have 3 songs. So, 2 of them are by Billie Eilish. One of them is called Not My Responsibility. And it's more of her talking over music. So she's kind of saying poem or whatever. And it's about like body image and stuff like that. So that goes with the feel of what I want it to look like, or what I want it to feel like. That's like the vibe of the dance.
Yeah.
So that's where that song inspiration comes from. And it makes me think, I don't know necessarily if that's something I would want to use, but I would be interested in using sound, like, the hell is that called? Instrumental of something and speaking over it.
Yeah.
Maybe something, not maybe, but something that I have written. And then the other song is a continuation of that song called Overheated. And from that, I am able to see movement and steps and patterns that I would be interested in using for the piece. And from there, I can tell how many dancers I need, and what their abilities have to be.
Okay.
And then the last song is called Shortline by RYX. And that is a song that I would actually be interested in using to tell the story.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've heard none of those songs, so I'll take your description. I was going to say something. Oh, what drives my finished product? I still don't know yet, but I don't think I will know until I'm like halfway done.
What do you mean by what drives it?
What helps me get to my end goal?
Oh. For me?
You thought I meant Hong Kong beep beep?
No. I just needed a better understanding.
I mean, you already said it. How yourself
Yeah.
is affected by
Well, I thought you
outside
meant like
relationships.
what
What does it mean to you? What does it hold for
Oh, I thought you meant what's going to get me to actually
you? Do it?
have a finished product
Oh, I mean that too.
and not a lost.
I mean that too. But sometimes it's not really over. You know, once you do the finished project, it's just a stepping stool to something else, a bigger discovery. So does it ever really end?
Depends on what it is and who you are.
For me, it never ends. I think I won't know until I'm halfway through. And that's why I have to start this way, because if I start the other way, I'm never going to get to the end product. You know what I mean? So I have to start from like the little itty bitty details, the small things, and then it builds and builds and builds. And then my brain goes, oh, that's what we doing. And then it becomes the thing that it was supposed to be.
That's interesting. Whereas for me, it's like, hey, yo, this is what it is. And then I have to be like, okay, well, how do I get that? And break it down piece
Yeah.
by piece to get that.
Yeah, I can't. I literally won't finish.
I think if I go the other way, I won't be able to start. I won't be able to move.
Yeah, that's so interesting.
Just be in there like SpongeBob with the arms. I don't have anywhere to start. I have to go the other direction.
Yeah.
Or if I start, it's not real.
What I've been, I wrote down before we started, was how the piece starts. And I'm really interested in backspace. My backspace has been really fucked up. Like I've been running into stuff. Like usually I can feel back here. Like, you know, if somebody's nearby you, I can't feel it. It's been really, really bad. So I've been thinking about starting with my back turned to the audience. I'm really good at expressing and moving, you know, in the front, but not so much so people can see it from the back. That sounds terrible. Movement from the back and like what that means as far as vulnerable,
You got it.
being vulnerable, vulnerable. What that means when you have your back to the audience, and what does movement look like, and what movements are important, so that the audience can see you without actually seeing you. You know what I mean? And maybe trying to discover why I can't feel back here. I don't feel the presence. I be running into all kinds of stuff, walls, the reformers at work. I be messing myself up, running into people. It's really bad for somebody who's self-aware to not have that awareness. So yeah, I was thinking back turned and low to the ground. That's my like, maybe a spotlight. I love a good spotlight, but I've never used it before. Except for when we were in London and we did that one project.
Yeah.
But she didn't really give us time to develop that how
We
I
didn't
wanted
have much
to.
time for much.
Correct.
I don't know what the hell we were doing. I don't really remember. I remember we were there.
It was all a blur.
That's interesting though. For me, I have goal movement wise where I would like where I want to challenge myself to not worry so much about having big dancer movements. You know what I mean? Because I feel like that's where things get mixed up for me in terms of being authentic. So I want to have moments of stillness and breath. And I want people to be able to feel the same, just feel a presence, because that's something I struggle with in life, is being present. I'm searching for what I do with any art I create. I want to make people feel something, so I'm searching for a very specific feeling that I want to evoke for people.
Cool. Nice. I'm trying to think. I don't think there's anything else that I wrote down. The next step for me is just getting into a studio and making that thing happen, you know?
Yeah.
Getting some crack-a-lacking. And that'll be the tough part, ladies and gentlemen, is actually getting into a space
And
moving. But once I start moving, it's all fine and dandy. But it's just getting there and then setting up a schedule so that I think that's what I'm gonna like about it being connected to the podcast is having like that deadline of that check-in. And also looking at more artwork, getting inspired, because it's hard to be a part of the community if you're not a part of the community. It's like going to church. And even though I tell my mother all the time, it's about me and my relationship with God, it is about being able to commune with people who are like-minded and who have the same views as you. So how can I be an artist and not be out here seeing my people's work? You know what I mean? So yes, those are the challenges in the next 2 weeks, is getting in the studio, making movement happen, and trying to go see some art.
Okay. Well, I feel like we're off to a good start.
We are
so far.
This
So
should be
what
top
is
tier.
What's our? What are we bringing to the table for the next talk?
Some movement discovery,
Okay.
which doesn't have to be anything specific. It could be. I learned that the tap of the toe is something significant in my dance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, it can be in any form you want to. Are you going to be recording yourself dancing?
I think I might have to.
I usually have to too, but I hate watching it back.
Yeah, I hate watching myself. I am a spaghetti noodle fish stick. Ugly.
I found some footage on my OneDrive, and I was like, dang, I used to have muscular arms. I mean, I'm strong.
I've
I
always
just don't
been
look
a spaghetti noodle.
No, you a fish stick, girl. That bronze.
Not anymore. That's okay. That's how I be feeling, like a fucking noodle. Just no structure. Just a noodle. But that's okay. Whatever.
Do you
Not
want to
about
be a
that.
noodle?
I don't know what I want. That's what I'm trying to figure out. I'm working on my relationship with myself.
Maybe that's the piece. We figured it out, ladies and gentlemen.
How not to be spaghetti noodle. Or how to be content with being a spaghetti noodle.
You know, and either one is fine. If you decide you don't want to be a spaghetti noodle, there's lots of things that you can do to not be a spaghetti noodle, you know, within yourself. But then if you do decide you do like being a spaghetti noodle, that's fine too.
I'm just laughing because the fact that feels like the most accurate description is ridiculous. But yeah, we're at a good place, and we'll come back to you in a couple weeks.
Here?
2 weeks with movement discovery.
Mm-hmm.
So I appreciate you guys for listening.
You're
And stick with us on this journey.
yeah.
We did not live stream this today because
We
it
weren't
just,
prepared.
It wasn't
it's not
the time.
Right.
I was supposed to be live streaming for a couple of weeks on Mondays, and I have not. I'm going to try again. Tomorrow, Monday, 8 p.m.
Woo!
Okay. Join me on Twitch for Monday Night Meditation. Don't let the name scare you, because I know people like meditation. It's just a moment for people to sit and breathe, and that's all. That's all you're required to do, is just take a moment for yourself and breathe. I'm gonna be nervous as fuck, so you know need for y'all to feel a certain way, And then, our YouTube is updated with all the podcast episodes. There's a couple of, other videos. We haven't really been doing much, so that's all we got on there for you. But once again, we appreciate you for listening and rocking with us. We got, Instagram and Twitter if you miss us. And we'll see you in a couple weeks.
Yep.
All right.
All right. Peace.
Peace.